So, this is being recorded.
Yes,
All right, I'll take my hat off.
and broadcast. All right, good evening, and welcome to the Town of Wenham Select Board meeting. It is August 25th, 2026. We are beginning at 6:31 PM. This evening, we have a workshop as the only agenda item for the evening. We'll do a call to order. If everyone would identify themselves as present.
Gary Cheeseman.
Peter Clay. Ben Timon.
And Deirdre Parati, and we believe Finn will be joining us momentarily via Zoom. All right, so
I'll just shoot him a text while we're...
what's that?
I'll just give him, I'm shooting him a text while we're
okay.
getting situated. Yeah.
Got it. So this evening, we will be discussing and reviewing the Select Board FY26 goals and objectives, looking at the status updates and progress, and we will identify and prioritize the goals and objectives for FY27. And I want to thank Steve for all the work in putting together both the report on last year's and the projection for this year, as well as all the incredible work that has been done by the staff as a whole. It's quite an impressive list. A lot of very complex projects that I think people will see in a moment. And I know I'm very proud of the work that's been done, so thank you all.
Yeah, thank you. I'm proud of everybody too. Everyone, works really hard every year, and this year has been no different. So if you want to pull up, why don't we start with the staff initiatives? And this year, right, there's a lot of information here on these sheets, so I don't plan, unless you want me to. I'm not going through each one individually in the interest of time. But as as an overview, this is something that we tried for the first time this year, and it's kind of what we deem staff-initiated accomplishment. So what this is meant for is things always pop up mid-year that you can't plan for, and also staff take on initiatives and kind of assign themselves goals and things internally that they're working on from year to year. And some of them you see here are still in progress in their multi-year projects. But we've been working on a tool that will report the select board's goals and objectives and how to measure kind of our performance and how we do in those areas each year. This is just something that through our internal performance review process, I asked all the staff that are willing to participate is to help draft some narratives from their own respective departments, and to highlight some of the the projects they were kind of pulled into that were unplanned, and some initiatives that they've placed on themselves, or goals and things that they're working on. So that's what this is here. If you can just scroll down to the bottom, I just got the finance Ernie's at the I was able to integrate this at the end of the day, so you didn't see these, but this really highlights I guess the integral piece that finance plays in the operations here. We do have, Ernie is new here with the town of Wenham. He's already in his first 6 months completed an astounding amount of training that's listed here. He's doing a bang up job. We already have some, as you're aware, some turnover, some major turnover in finance, so that working to put in a plan for business continuation on that. So all in all, things are going well and folks are working hard. All right, I guess we can jump to the...
So before you leave that,
Yep.
I think just pause for a moment for everyone to internalize it. But I found this spreadsheet, which, as you said, is an addition to this year's process, extremely helpful in illuminating the things that may not be obvious even to us, that are going on in the various departments. So I would love to see this continue year to year. And I think for the public, this is tremendously helpful, as I think it's not always clear what certain positions, certain departments are necessarily doing at any point in time. And there's sometimes curiosity, and I think this goes a long way to helping with that, providing some more transparency, as well as just illuminating all of the things that are being accomplished here.
Yeah, I agree, thank you. And further on that point, ultimately the plan is to integrate, I doubt it will continue to look like this, but something similar to this into each department's. So when the budget document that we've been talking about for a couple of years now finally gets published, the whole idea of, it's called a GFOA budget, and the whole idea of that, that's the Government Finance Officers Association. So, the move to governmental budgeting has been, less about the dollars and cents and more about communicating the services that you get for your money, so that anybody should be able to pick up the document and, it has all the accounting type stuff and the heavy numbers, if that's what you're looking for, but also has some narratives in there so that anybody can pick up and walk away with, have a decent understanding of, like, okay, this is what, I spend this much money on the DPW, and this is what I got for that much money this year. So this is kind of a start to try to get people thinking like that. As Jeff used to say, sing for your supper. So, I mean, I always like that. I never heard it before, but I've used it a lot since.
Old saying.
Yeah. But anyways, to be able to, because sometimes it's hard to articulate what you do in a day or a week or a year. You know what I mean? It's like, I do my job, and so. But this is, a try in here. Hopefully, we can continue to build this out, and it'll remain as part of this process every year.
Any comments on it before we move on?
Great addition.
Moving to the 21st century.
Yes.
All right, we can jump into the select board. Oh, can you open up all, like, hit the one? Maybe it's two. There we go. All right. So, yeah, 26 was a good year. I think we had 43 goals that we came out of the select board goal setting meeting last year with. Again, we didn't really prioritize them, but the general census was that we're going to work hard and make progress as much as we can, and we did just that. We're able to close a good number of them. We have made significant progress in all but probably 4 or 5, which I can outline the ones we didn't make any progress. But some of the key categories are this one up the top here is I must have forgot it at my desk. That's all right. So, in a sense, the first one I had written down all the exact progress that each department made in producing the policy, well, the operational procedures for each department. So, the town clerk is done. Diane was on it, and she's written out all her procedures in the office. I would say assessing and DPW are probably about 50% there. The police department is an accredited department, so this is they go through this process every 3 years. They just got accredited this past year, so they're up. The library has procedures are in place. Finance is probably the 25 to 50% there. We've started, especially with all the cross training going on, we're using that as an opportunity to get a 3-ring binder going and writing down. So all that to say, we've made significant progress. I would say the biggest one now that we're trying to dedicate some resources to is the fire department and getting that built out as far as putting policies and processes in place. But overall, we made great progress with the master plan implementation. So, you think about it, and if you look up here, the categories are kind of called out in different things, but, if you look at like the iron rail process that we've been going through, like that's kind of turned into a master plan implementation exercise. We looked at it through the workshop that Kate put together. So we're looking at more diverse housing stock, middle income there, also commercial development for as far as economic development, which is also a master plan initiative to build out our tax base. We've secured funding and gone through the RFP and selected a vendor for the economic development study, which the master plan directive was that we have done, and also a downtown revitalization study, which is master plan directive. So we've secured that. We're actually going to combine those two projects into one with one vendor. We felt that to be more advantageous because the way we see it is they really go hand in hand. You want to revitalize the downtown, but also want to take the opportunity to try to build in some smart economic development. And, that ties also to, and these consultants will be working closely with the finance committee and their forecast, which part of the forecast, any forecasting model is your revenues. So, that could be a potential revenue stream that we build into the forecast model that can be articulated into the economic development study, and also working with the HDC as we're going through and putting together our historic guidelines. Hopefully that they get in, and the plan is to bring them in with the HDC and talk about, different types of development that could go downtown that, they're comfortable with, right? Because that's a pretty big hurdle for any building that gets done within the historic district. So, we're really doing a lot with the master plan implementation. We have the Route 1A traffic safety project that looks like, we're good to go. I mean, I gave the update a couple meetings ago that, everything's been filed at the registry, the temporary easements are in place, all the takings that had to take place are done. The town is basically done what it is required to do, and is now the state is expecting to put out the bid package at some time this fall. So I think this is about as close as we've ever gotten to this project actually happening. That's been a long time coming. A lot of little projects, but every one you can see here. I'm happy to go through each one, but I tried to put in pretty comprehensive updates and notes for the board to go through on your own time and read through and get an idea of the forward momentum that we had. And anything that wasn't completed in this is carried forward to next year. I'm going to continue moving forward.
So I just want to emphasize one of your points, which is about the master plan, because you did have it as its own thing, which is great. But I think very many of the goals that are articulated do tie very directly to goals and objectives in the master plan. And I think in the next sort of iteration of this, it would be helpful to add even a column just to cite Chapter 3, Objective 4, do you know what I mean? So that it's absolutely crystal clear that it does connect back to the master plan, because even the historic district guidelines, separate from the economic development, that in itself, we had a chapter on historic preservation, that is directly related to the master plan too. So a lot of these goals and objectives are.
Yeah, I like that. I like that idea. And it also shows that, even though I don't think the iron rail project, I'm just using this as one example, ever started off as being like a master plan, but it shows that we're using the master plan as a lens, to look at these projects and, follow it basically, like where we have an opportunity to direct some development. We're using the master plan to figure out what kind.
Even the demolition delay bylaw that's being proposed, that was in the master plan. That's also being,
Okay.
that could go up here too.
Yep.
It's being worked on by the staff as well as the HDC.
Yeah, I would just echo that. I mean, it's been said, but it's been such a sea change in how the town of Wenham does things in like the past 5 or 6 years, from essentially, kind of triage and putting out fires to something now that's much more proactive. And when we see the detailed, action items, they're anchored to something, often the master plan. They're part of a cohesive whole for the most part. And there's so many connections between those things, which is a real success story for the town. And I think your suggestion, Deirdre, just would make that even clearer, showing how these things kind of fit together.
Thank you. And I'm happy to help with that, just so.
All right, with that, I don't know if anybody has any questions on the goals updates, or if you want any. I guess I could run through the ones just so you're aware that we didn't, there was no progress made.
Steve?
Yeah,
I went through this for like an hour or so.
okay.
My question is, why don't we just look at the 2027? Because the ones that you're gonna talk about
Yeah.
now, they're in the 2027 objective.
No, that's fair. That's a fair point. Yeah, why don't we just do that?
You guys all right with that?
Unless anybody has questions on any of these?
Excuse me.
I have one when you go to 2027.
All right, let's do it.
Quick question. So for the public, is this document going to be sort of permanently displayed on the town website, or,
It can be. I mean,
because
if
right
the
now it's
board-
just an agenda, it's going to get buried in history pretty quick.
Sure.
If the board's comfortable with its content.
I think it should be on the website.
Sure.
Especially with your little comment
Yeah,
about
once
how it
finalize
ties
it.
back to the
For the
plan.
master plan.
So, my question on 2027 goals and action items, why is town-owned property showing up again? I thought we got rid of that.
Well, it's an ongoing, so what I did there was because it was getting there was so many years involved that, because with the action items, so what I did was I closed it off and created a new goal, and it was dispose of, so now we have to dispose of those properties. We identified, we started with the whole town inventory. We said, which of these parcels does the select board have authority to dispose of? And so we filtered out based on that. And then we took that list and we said, which of these do we want to keep for, further discussion, for potential development opportunities or future town use? And which ones do we want to dispose of? Because the town has, not that it really changes your liability insurance cost much, but there is some liability there of, taking the trees down and, just a butter relations and stuff, like where it's a town-owned property and kids are partying in there or whatever. It's like, you get the call, like, what's the town doing? We need a fence, you need this. So it's if these are just small little slivers, landlocked parcels that have no future use, and that was the process we went through in a working group, was to identify the list of parcels that are basically should just be disposed of. And
In what way?
likely, an auction. So we'd auction it off. Some of these,
Buy a little sliver of wetland.
well, and that's a fair point. So,
Actually, the abutters.
yeah, potentially the abutters, right? So that's basically the takeaway is basically there's no value really in any of these parcels except to the abutter.
Right.
And in some cases, we don't even think there's any value to the abutter. So at the end of the day, we do want to clean up our inventory. At least that was the initial objective, was to identify what we can get rid of and get rid of them. That we can net, we're not looking to, it's really not a money-making proposition. It's like, but there's a cost in the auction with the auctioneer's fees and legal fees to do what you got to do. Say that's $1,000 or $1,200 per parcel. Can we at least net net zero from some selling for $5,000, some losing 1,200 or whatever, do you know what I mean? And you end up with a net zero. So that's kind of the goal for this year, is to try to figure out a way, if possible, to dispose of all those, right? Because in some cases they have no value, but if the abutter's like, well, if you want to give it to me for $1, I'll take it. Do you know what I mean? So maybe we do something like that. But again, so hopefully by the end of the next year, when we're talking next summer, those 11 parcels or whatever will have been disposed of.
Okay.
But I guess the action items are the ones that are already done, right? I think that's what Peter's,
Yeah,
the next,
so maybe I misunderstood. So scroll down.
scroll down first. Right, the three, no, right there. Because the inventory was done, right?
Oh, yeah.
The plan
okay.
was brought forward, the working group
Yeah, so that
was
should
done.
be,
So
oh,
these
yeah, that's a
should
good
be-
catch, Peter. That's a typo. That should,
Should be the next phase of
yeah,
the
that should be,
process of
that
the
should be the next
disposition.
phase. And that was something I missed. So
That's
I'll
why I was
update
sort of
that.
confused.
That's
Yeah, well, that makes total sense because that doesn't say anything that I just said, so.
That's right.
Stuff happens. The inventory's done,
Yeah, so that is done. You're right. You're absolutely right. That's done. And
some of which we've already gotten rid of. Have we?
yeah, somehow I carried, I don't know what happened there, but
It
I was
just
being
needs
kind
the
of
next
cross-eyed.
phase
Yeah, so I just need, I'm going to
articulated.
remove that and insert what I just
What you
said.
just said.
Yeah.
Steve, I found the one point where I could really just kind of stick my finger. in.
Good. Good.
But, I mean, I thought everything else looked, so, I guess the question is, from my standpoint, is a lot of this finance stuff, get these programs up and running, the software, and then, because I think that's just gonna make everything easier for anyone related to finance, and it's also gonna make it very easy and transparent for the residents to see what's going on.
I agree. Yeah, then that is absolutely a priority. And so why don't we, how do we want to do this? Do you want to just take it from the top and I'll kind of just walk through?
I think so, yeah.
All right, so this is the job guides, the procedures that I alluded to. So this is ongoing. I'm anticipating this probably will be ongoing forever, right? Because as soon as you're done or think you're done, something changes and you need to update them. So this is probably going to be a standing goal going forward. But, you know, we're, like I said, we've got a pretty good bite out of the apple. I would say overall, we're probably 70% done. You know, obviously fire is a big one, but a number of the departments are made some really good progress. Anyway, so that will be continued into 27. Last year, we did the moving down to the Verizon 5-year licensing. So this is similar to last year. We did the Comcast, the 10-year Comcast license. This is the exact same thing, but with Verizon. So we will start that process this fall and work through that. You know, probably we'll have our attorney, similar to last year, will attend a select board meeting because ultimately the select board will have to sign the contract. Library, moving to library negotiations. So we did reach a tentative agreement with the library after our third session of mediation, excuse me. So that we're waiting for the union to ratify. That's very recent news. We're waiting for the union to ratify that. They have not ratified the agreement. Once they do, it will be brought back to the select board.
Are they likely to ratify it?
I think highly likely, yeah.
Okay.
And then we will align the funding for the April 27th town meeting. Moving down to the Historic District Guide. So recap from last year, we secured funding, tried a couple different avenues. Ultimately, we had to get it through the capital appropriation at town meeting. We've selected the vendor, went through the procurement process. That has started. They've been meeting with staff and various boards and committee members and they can continue through that process throughout this year, with the anticipation of it being wrapped up by the end of the year. Budget software transition, line 14. This is ongoing. This one made Ernie a little nervous, but I said, don't worry. I'm like, this is really just there so that we continue to keep our eyes open and understand, what software is out there and what's suitable for Wenham, so that when and if we get the word from, right now, SoftWrite, it doesn't have bells and whistles. That SoftWrite's the accounting software we use. It doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles, but it does just fine for our purposes, in my opinion. But when the day comes that they're no longer supporting that, which they support it, they don't build anything added. There's no more add-ons, and you can't add additional modules or change service levels, but they will continue to keep you going. But when that day comes that, we have to start looking, that at least we have some, I just want you to have some familiarity with the landscape. Over the course of the year, have a couple of conversations with vendors, you get a couple demos, see what SoftWrite's doing with their new stuff, just be aware and understand what's out there. So we're not starting from scratch. So that eased his mind a little. He thought we were migrating accounting software this year amongst everything else. So. All right, financial policies. So this, just make sure that I'm reading the right one. Yeah. So this one ties into the meeting that we had with the FinCom. So this one is not. It's a priority, but it's not a top priority for this year. Let's face it, they've been in draft form with the FinCom reviewing for now 2 years. So I don't think another year is going to kill us. So really the priority for this year is, if you scroll down a little, even the permitting and fees, I should have put all the finance and budgeting together. Even the permitting and fees it's likely to get done this year, just because Ernie has kind of already started it, but the priority really lies in the forecast. So getting the budget document published is right up there, and then the forecast, and because the forecast will do a couple things. It will identify, as part of the budget publication, it's a more comprehensive capital process we're going to go through, because it has to be done for the forecast. The forecast also is going to need free cash estimates, and a big part of our free cash use is going to be capital needs. So really those two pieces are really going to help with the free cash and the capital and the budget, and then because those are going to tie directly into the financial policies. So it's going to be like, how much of a reserve do you need for the town of Wenham? How much free cash regeneration do you need? How much do you left after appropriation do you need? What is our annual capital spend? Like, what do we want to target for stabilizations? How many stabilization? All that type of stuff is what's in the financial policies. But I feel like once we do the forecasting exercise, which encompasses a bunch of the financial goals that we talked about a couple times ago, will put us in basically, we'll have already established those. Now you just got to put it into writing. Do you know what I mean? So that's why the policies is going to it'll probably continue into progress into FY28. We are going to be starting, it's a priority, but we are not trying to align with anything this year, but we are going to be starting the health insurance analysis, getting that clock going. So we have some legal letters that we have to send to employees and union members and retirees to let them know that we're starting this process. That kind of gets a clock ticking as the initial notification. So we are going to get that out in the coming months. Ernie and finance are leading. That's the other thing. So you'd asked me to let you know who's going to be. We have so many finance things going on. Who's going to be leading it? So Ernie and finance are going to do the health and insurance. They're going to do the permitting and fees study. They're going to do the financial modeling. I am going to take the fire operations review and financial analysis with Wenham, with Hamilton, or any other change in, staffing structure we have over there, and what the cost of cost incurrences are. And then also I'll be doing the ambulance and its financial analysis. So I'll take that off finances plate. Yeah, so this one is, yes, this one is, I'm just making sure I'm not getting it confused with another one. Yeah, so this one is where we'll be putting in, this, I think, has to do with the budget. This is the budget document and the integration of the narratives that I was just talking about. There's also another, and I want to make sure I wasn't confusing with this. There's another goal up here that is the performance metrics and comparing ourselves to other communities. So the community comparison, that's further down the list. I'll talk about that when we get there. So that's going to be, it's a group effort that will be pretty much everybody is going to be involved in that. So then we have the Affordable Housing Trust. So we did get audited this year. We do have a management letter, so we have some cleanup to do. That's sent to the Finance Committee, and they'll come back with their, per policy, their report to the Select Board on, what it's all about and what the plan is to satisfy it. But Ernie really did a lot of work in cleaning stuff up, and he has the auditors satisfied with the way things are right now. So he's been, he worked really closely with the auditors and the Affordable Housing Trust, but there is still certainly some work to be done, especially the interplay between the LLC and the town. So the LLC is, this like quasi-town. We're not part of the town when it benefits us. We are part of the town when it benefits us, type of thing. And whose money, when the LLC earns money, is it the LLC's money? They have to pay taxes at the towns, you know what I mean? So it's how much do we keep in the LLC accounts? There's a lot of policies that he's working on, Ernie, to basically to figure all that stuff out. And he's kind of come up with like a homegrown accounting through Excel, like accounting software type thing, because it's not quite big enough for QuickBooks. But he said if we keep acquiring properties, we might have to get QuickBooks. So something to think about for the future, what direction we want to go with the affordable housing. All right, scroll down. As we mentioned before, we have a lot of turnover. So it's no secret Jen was selected as the best candidate for the treasurer collector job, and Belinda is our long-term treasurer collector, and she's leaving. She's been doing that job for 30 plus years, so certainly a lifetime of knowledge in that role. Will be leaving, but we have no doubt that Jen is up for the task, and she's already been cross-training with that. But with that, it's going to create a vacancy in Jen's position, which he has been, will be a huge loss in and of itself, even though we're not losing her. And so we're hiring for that right now. We had 32 applications for that role. It's like the world has totally shifted. Like 12 months ago, we were hiring, like you would have to call people and ask them if they wanted to hand in their application, literally to get one. And now it's wild. The difference is just insane. We've hired three positions over the last 2 months, and
What's changed?
The job market.
Sheila, yeah,
No, but why has it changed?
clearly people are, out of work because you don't really
A lot
hear.
of sectors that have had a lot of layoffs,
Because
reduction in force, lots of funding has been cut by the federal government. That has ripple effects in jobs. Certainly higher ed, which is my field, is struggling. Lots of job loss and layoffs.
A very, very different environment than it was, heck, even 6 months ago. No, where were we? Okay, so that, yes, we're working on this succession planning for that, right? We've got a couple big roles to fill with the plan is in place. Now we're just working through it. It's gonna be, we'll have a lot of overlap with Belinda and Jen, and we're planning for about a 2-month overlap with whoever the successful candidate is and Jen. So there'll be an extra person in there and make sure everything goes smoothly and the bills keep getting paid and staff keeps getting their paycheck. All right. All right, so this is what we talked before. This kind of everything ties into this long range, short range financial model. 65 and 67 is the same. Like I talked about, free cash, project needs, targets, capital spending, all that is very closely intertwined with each other. All those are information we're going to need to build the long and short term financial model. So it's all work we're going to be doing anyways. It's a lot of work, but it's all something that needs to be done. And that will make the, what I'm expecting to be a goal next year in 28, finalizing the financial policies relatively easy because a lot of the heavy lifting will already have been done. Community comparison, and so 69 and 71, the community comparison, HWRS master plan, long-term financial plan impact analysis. We're, Ernie and I are suggesting we're going to, if the FinCom, wishes to take these on themselves without staff support, we think that this is appropriate. They've already done some work on their own last year on the community comparisons with Finn and Bob Papatic. So they have already started a little bit. I don't know how far they've gotten, but I feel like as far as like our restraints and manpower, I think these two are, at least in my mind, are lowest priority for right now. That there's a lot of other things going on, and that if they see a value in getting it done sooner rather than later, then maybe they could work on it themselves.
So Steve, I don't know where it must have been in your cover letter, that one of the things back to the school system is that you're going to put a person
Oh, yeah.
on the school committee or on
Capital planning.
the capital planning process.
Yeah, that
I
should be
mean,
on
that-
this.
that
Did
sounds-
it get,
I think it was here somewhere.
I'll make a note to add it. But yeah, no, I did write that somewhere.
That was a really good idea.
I was starting to see sideways
Yes,
after a while
It has to
with
be
all
that
this.
capital.
So yeah, so basically, yeah, the Hamilton Wenham district adopted in part by the requests of the towns to have a more transparent capital process. And as part of their policy that they adopted was they formed a capital review committee, ultimately, like it says all over the policy that the school committee still has the ultimate authority to do what they want, but this is kind of like an advisory committee. And one of the seats is, two of the seats is a member of the FinCom from Wenham and a member of the FinCom from Hamilton. Jared Ward served as that person last year, so we need another person that's willing to put the time in this year. So that's just something that we're gonna have to work through with the FinCom.
I think that's a really big improvement.
Agreed.
2 for 2 on catching, wanting to audit my next company
I know, right?
action
But I
plan.
read it, I don't know where I read it, but.
I do remember writing it, and I don't know where I wrote it.
Cover letter.
No, it's here.
Had it filtered for
Yes.
Oh,
There it
It
nice.
is there, yeah.
Yep, got it.
Yeah, I was like, you're
So-
right, I did write that, but where did I write it?
I did write it, I saw it too. It's-
A good one.
When did Jared Ward resign from the FinCom recently? He did resign.
He did resign 3 months-ish,
Yeah,
two, 3
months.
months ago.
I'm sorry,
But
Jared Ward.
how did I miss that?
I only heard about it somewhat recently. We need to fill his vacancy.
yeah, we're almost, Danvers can speak better to that.
I know it's off the agenda.
they're close. We
Well,
got four,
it's
we got almost
related.
got,
We have four, and there is an applicant for the fifth seat,
Okay.
but the appointing committee has not met yet for the applicant that's pending.
So there, we have four, so that means someone,
Correct.
one of those persons is new, right?
Correct.
So, was Jared the myopia member?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Who's a member of myopia?
I don't know.
Stocky, glasses.
Yes.
yeah, I think that, Bob also is a little stocky with glasses too, but I think you're talking to the right person,
Wow.
about the right person.
Who's the new?
Do we know why?
Not really. I mean,
I think
wasn't too keen on the
it's
night
not a
meetings.
public speculation
Yeah.
thing. I don't think we know for sure.
Okay,
Um,
that's all you have to say.
Yeah,
We don't, no speculation.
no speculating. Alex Varellis is the new finance committee member. He's been appointed.
Great.
Just on the finance and budgeting goals, Michelle, if you can refilter it the way you had it. I guess I'm still worried that it's a very long list, and right now they're all labeled FY '27, and I'm wondering if some of them should be more explicitly labeled as FY '28.
Yeah, I mean, that's
And also,
fair.
Ernie is listed as the lead for all of them, so if FinCom does decide to take those on, I would just
You know, that's
say,
good.
let's update it to say FinCom. Likewise, if we decide to take anything on ourselves, same
Yeah,
thing.
normally I think I did, I mean, clearly I didn't. I usually hide the lead. Like, it's not really, like, I don't really share that publicly. It wasn't intentional that I did. It's more for when I filter and send out goals. And, but you're right, I should, if it's gonna be out there, I should update.
Maybe under the status FY, in progress, maybe you just put a target, in progress, priority 27, or in progress, target 28, or something like that. That would do.
Yeah,
it's
at a
not-
target.
Just to not create the expectation that all of these are going to
Right.
get done this year, I think that's not feasible with the amount of staffing we have.
Yeah, I mean, even to that point, if if we know it's gonna be a multi-year, we can just put multi-year.
Just put multi-year, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
But do we want to prioritize some in front of the other?
Yeah, I think we do. There was some prioritization in what you just said, but I guess not totally clear what we're pushing out.
Yeah, I mean, I think, what I'm pushing out, or suggesting we push out, is the Hamilton Wenham Regional School District Master Plan costing, so the cost analysis of what it would cost the towns, the community comparison analysis, and...
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah,
'Cause I wrote it down. AI. Everybody I know, my daughter, my two sons, is being affected by AI. Why couldn't AI do that analysis?
well, it can. I do use AI, and I'm getting better with it, right? I think it's a very powerful tool that everybody should be using, and I push it on everybody in here, right, to the extent they're comfortable using it, because it really is, makes you more efficient, for sure.
It also has some drawbacks.
But yeah, so it's like it certainly can help, but if it doesn't replace, and maybe someday it will, but like, you have to know kind of where you're going and be able to catch its mistakes. It's not to say that I love AI. I mean, I love it. I think it's amazing, but it's certainly, so we do all this stuff to the extent possible, right? I probably use it more than most in town, I would say, although Kate's probably a close second, and I'd utilize it to be as efficient as possible, but it certainly doesn't. It's certainly not like a couple clicks of a button and it will do it. You got to go through and get it all its information and then find its mistakes, because it does make mistakes. And when you put a public document out. But I agree. I mean, AI is, and it's only getting better.
So like Steve Kavanaugh's got to write all those policies and procedures?
Well, yeah, it's great. I mean, it is great for that, but you have to have someone that can identify what policies and procedures you want and need,
Contextualize it.
and then also, understand, right? But then certainly, like, if you put in the inputs and be like, yeah, I need a policy because of X, Y, and Z that does this, and you know what I mean? But you have to really understand the workflow and everything. Somebody doing it, like, I probably couldn't use it for fire because I've never been a firefighter. He might be able to.
So I'm just thinking
Yeah.
out loud or broadly. Wouldn't it be great if we had a resource that understands AI, that could just walk around, like if you said, well, AI might be able to help, and then have somebody go in there who actually really understands AI, and then do it. So it's really not, the departments can say, this is what I need, and then the AI person could say, oh, well, okay, I know how to do that.
AI liaison.
Yeah, something like that.
That might be helpful.
Kind of perhaps.
That might help you and Kate.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just think about it. You don't have, I'm not trying to put you on the spot now, but based on everything I've seen, it's just nuts what's going on with AI.
Yeah, I know it's getting pretty crazy.
Perhaps, along the line, we have an energy manager, that provides the expertise or the methodology. Perhaps the same thing, we need to find some way to have AI expertise introduced.
And share it with Hamilton or whoever else, Ipswich or.
Yeah, I'd like to get a communications person
Mm.
in that
Yeah,
same
so-
line.
You could ask Danvers, right, our IT collaborative, if they have any of that.
Yeah, he was
Expertise.
pushing Copilot because that's the one that's in Microsoft, and it's terrible.
Yeah.
Absolutely terrible. It's an embarrassment.
Claude's much better.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I'm open to that. I've been actually researching classes.
Why don't you ask Joe over in Hamilton? Maybe he'll finally be in his new office soon.
You'll see, if nothing else, offer some classes, some basic prompts and command writing, because that makes a huge difference.
Actually, the kind of thing that would probably be a sensible regional
Yeah,
position.
resource, yeah.
You know,
Just like,
yeah, liaison
what's her
for-
face?
Well, to that point, we're actually,
Vicky, sorry,
Vicky.
gosh.
when is our strategic meeting, Danvers? Is it the first week of September?
9th, I believe.
Yeah, we have a strategic meeting with Colby and his team every year, and that's the first week of September or second week of September, so we can bring that up. I know he was trying to push out some AI training, but it was really not very good.
See, I don't think we should be training our people how to do AI. They should say, this is what I need, and then have a resource that can come in and say, this is how you do it.
Yeah.
But then they'll learn it too. Like if you have
Uh,
a liaison who does it for them the first or second or third time,
They'll figure it out.
then they'll start to
Yeah,
learn it themselves. And then the AI will take their jobs.
Right.
yeah.
So it's all part of the grand
So that, I never mentioned that, ever. It's a resource.
It's an enhancement,
plan.
yes.
One step at a time.
Yes.
I see it more like it's more like an assistant.
Yes.
Like you have to
Yeah.
really know the job, and if you can be specific in your tasking and prompts,
Like Vicky.
it does a lot. But to just come in and be like, all right, I'm gonna be a firefighter tomorrow, and go in, say, all right, AI, it's. Like
I'm not
It's
at
not
all
there yet.
suggesting that.
No, I know that, and I'm not, I know that at all. I know that. I'm just, half joking, but also it's not quite to the point where it's taking jobs. I think that's what I
Yeah.
was getting
It's
at.
no substitute
So-
for
so-
human judgment either.
I agree. I'm gonna continue to push AI.
All
We'll
right.
bring it up in the,
And
because
then
maybe,
figure out
because with
the-
the North Shore Collaborative is like 10, 11 communities now, so maybe they see some value
Yeah,
in that.
that's a
that'd be great.
starting point, at least.
Yeah, that would be super. We're all facing the same issue,
Mhm.
or opportunity, I would say.
Okay, so we'll do some clarification of the finance goals.
Yeah, I'll do that.
So the permitting fees market study, hello?
I actually tried AI to do that. And it is, I mean, it might speak to the way we bill being not very, what's the word? Not very easy to understand, because when
How
you,
we bill?
well, how we bill for services and how many variables there are that affect the fees and the rates and how so many communities do things differently. Because,
Okay, so
Like
that's bad.
yeah.
I had a
Well, I
bad,
just-
I.
No, I
had
just
a
was
bad idea.
laughing because I actually did try to do it with that, like I set up an agent and sent them out to like pull fees in from all the different communities, and it did, but they were so apples to oranges that it was like, anyways.
My oldest son, PJ, has created an agent for his rental fees that is like, he's been working on it for like 3 months. And he's a qualified AI engineer now. I
Working
like
at- what is it?
Quotes around qualified, but
What does his agent do?
it's, I won't bother you, but trust me, he's using it. And he created an agent called Max, and Max keeps adding functionalities.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay,
Alright,
so where were we?
Where were we? Financial policy.
We were down at like 60, 71, 69, 71?
Yeah, where were?
That was filtered under finance.
Yeah, I think that was
Oh.
filtered.
Now it's unfiltered.
Oh, so I guess why don't we just go through the, so just pick the next, go to category.
The next section.
And unclick finance. Or maybe just do them all, because I don't think there's a lot, and then just unclick finance and budgeting. There you go. All right, then I'll just go to the top, and I'll work the way down. All right, so this I already gave, and we got through these before I updated it. All right, so the iron rail best use study. Again, ties to the master plan. This was a pretty successful working group that just concluded. The recommendation of the most recent action item, the most recent action item that was taken off here from FY26 was to complete, pull together a working group, complete the working group and make the recommendation to the select board, which you received the recommendation last month. And the next step as a result of those findings was that the select board wants to move forward with that. We're going to continue on finalizing exactly what the board wants to be kind of the final goal for the site on the 8th, and then we're going to be hosting a public meeting the Wednesday after that. I believe I don't want to guess at the date, but I think was it the 17th? The 17th, we'll do a public hearing, and then that will give us another meeting in September so at least the way I understood it, the select board's taken the approach to well, obviously you get feedback, but it's like, here's what we're planning on doing. It's not like, what should we do? Here's our plan. Obviously you're gonna get some feedback, the select board can deliberate on that feedback at the following meeting in September, and then otherwise finalize and give the request to the planning board to draft any zoning that needs to happen in A&R. It's gonna be some subdividing of property and stuff that is gonna have to happen, but give them kind of the marching orders to get that ready for town meeting. That's still our goal. I guess we'll see how this month plays out, but I think that it's achievable, that we'll be able to align it with this year's town meeting. Master plan implementation, so this is a broad goal that maybe needs to be changed and have a separate that kind of pulls in all the projects that are touching on the master plan. But the way this is the goal that initially originated in FY26, and you can see here the 3 primary action items are the 3 big projects coming out of the land use department that tie directly with the master plan. That's the Complete Streets program, which increases pedestrian safety and walkability of the town and and signage. And then the economic development study and the downtown revitalization study that we're combining, that I spoke about earlier. And so those are really big pieces of the master plan, but there are a number of other projects that tie into it as well.
Yeah, so I think, as I was saying before, instead to create, I think you could actually drop this master plan implementation as its own item. Instead, make the column, code it to the master plan goals and objectives, and these three become their own standalone, because they're all significant projects, again, mapped to the specific goals and objectives from the master plan.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Because this also makes it look like this is the only master plan, and
Yep.
and it's not.
Yeah, I agree, and that was, yeah, I agree. Let's see, land use and planning, MBTA 3A zoning, right, so we're still in interim approval, interim compliance, I guess. So we're still working with the Attorney General's office and the OHLC. Last year, we were successful in getting a town meeting vote that authorized the select board to dispose of the Boulder Lane. We're still working through the access questions that they have, and there is a scenic easement that is really, I'm learning, is more of a conservation easement that was put in place on the town-owned parcel closest to 128 that could prevent the development of a road through there without some sort of release from the DOT and some state environmental agency. So anyways, we're working through that. That could be a multi-year progress. Actually, likely will be multi-year. We don't know if there's going to be any more town meeting votes, but it's ongoing. We have a meeting with the OHLC set up for, I believe, next week. So we'll have a better update on that after that meeting. 24 Cherry Street in progress. I felt like we made some good progress this past year, right? We're still not quite there yet. Right now, we're waiting on EOHLC and DCAM to give us some feedback on some of our final questions, a couple of them being the our health regulations require 10,000 square feet per bedroom of basically undisturbed, I'm not sure the right word, but no driveway, no house can be there, so basically land available to be a leaching field. There is no way you're going to get 9 bedrooms in there with that requirement. The draft regulations pretty clearly state that they're not going to abide by those types of regulations, but they are going to follow the state sanitary code and Title V. So, but the residents want a response from EOHLC, so we did submit that question. We're also waiting on their response to our question about what type of assurances that we have once we get into the process that they are going to allow some development agreement to help with some safeguards to ensure whatever RFP project we put out there and ultimately select a developer that's going to build it, that he actually builds what he says he's going to build, and we don't end up with something totally different. And then finally, I think the outstanding question that we're looking for from DCAM's legal feedback is the encroachment issue.
Minor.
Minor encroachment issue.
Huge.
So see what they have to say about that, if anything, right? So I think it's more for the abutters to just get a better understanding of where DCAM is coming from in that particular situation. So once we get that, I think we've got the Affordable Housing Trust recommendation. We've got them to commit to a funding of $300,000, whether it's 1 unit or 3. And I think we're pretty close, right, to getting there. I think once we get EOHLCs, we'll pull the working group back together with the residents, kind of go through that, and then I think the select board is just going to have to make a decision and move forward on that. Review and update. So this one is, we didn't really make any progress last year. this was something that I know it says I'm the lead on it, but this is something the select board was kind of taking on themselves. I think we started a little bit with the Human Rights Committee, made some progress, but nothing made it to a meeting just yet. It'll continue to stay up there. It's probably something that might stay up there forever because, you know, starting new committees, closing old committees, reviewing charges and things like that is probably a good practice to always be reviewing that. Beverly Airport Commission, I just have not done anything on that. That onion, when I started to peel it back, was,
I would say that your ability to get representation on the Beverly Airport Commission is about 0.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, because I think the current setup is anybody we propose, the Beverly mayor has the final selection anyhow. We don't get to pick the
Right.
seat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of it's really worth the effort.
Yeah, the only bargaining chip we have, which I think Danvers was just in a unique situation that maybe they needed the money or didn't realize, but they pay us a very small dollar amount. I don't want to make it up, but I think it's less than $5,000 a year. And that's how Danvers got their seat, was they basically bought it by
Giving up the
Giving
tax
up that.
revenue.
giving up that pilot. So it's a pilot payment that's required by law. And one of the complications we have is I think they pay a tax bill to us. I actually think it should be a pilot by law. But then if it's a pilot by law, you can't abate it because it's required. And Danvers abates it as a refund. So you get into that kind of sticky situation where it's like, yeah, nobody's probably going to come out looking for you, but the state's not going to go, you know what I mean? But it's like, well, are we going to propose to do something you can't do and try to buy a seat for $5,000, which I don't think they would sell anyways. I think to Peter's point, I think it's probably close to a 0% chance that would ever get a seat on there.
Sorry.
But anyways, I just have not, just with everything going on, I have not made any progress on that. Regional school agreement, so this kind of fell apart towards the end, in the lead up to town meeting. We were all on the same page, and then, Hamilton and Wenham, I think we kind of diverged in the financial sense. We had some things that, we were saying we would want to do, and they were saying things they wanted to do. Ultimately, we were just like, well, we'll just leave all these financial pieces, anything that impacts us financially in the assessment, we're just going to leave for another time. Let's do everything else. So the two towns were in agreement on that. Schools were very much in opposition of that idea. They said the whole reason why they opened it was to get these, they want a more smooth assessment shift formula, which you go out 5 years. I mean, I'm not sure it makes that much of a difference, but they didn't want it, and then we just got to be too late in the town meeting cycle, and it just once the pressure of town meeting was off, the group just kind of stopped meeting. But Joe and I are having coffee on Monday, and that is on our agenda to talk about, so we're probably going to be getting that going now that fall is here.
It's not under any deadline in the sense that the existing regional agreement is the existing regional agreement with no particular date to renew it or anything.
No, it's 60 years old or
Yeah,
whatever.
it's 60 years old now. I mean,
61, 62.
so yeah, that's ongoing. Who knows? Let's see what this fall brings in that, and get the district back going. I don't know. It's a tough position because if the district is pushing for these financial changes, and these financial changes impact Wenham or Hamilton positively or negatively, it becomes a very difficult. It's like, well, the community that's getting the negative. You know what I mean? It's whatever you propose. It's like, well,
Not
the other
in
one's like, well, how
favor.
does that affect us? Well, it's going to cost more. It's like, all right, well, hold on. Let's look at this. So we'll see. Yeah. So this one is a fit. This got brought up actually, probably a year. Well, yeah, it was on the 26th. So it would have been brought up at least a year ago by Colby Studdard, who is on the Water Commission. And he was looking at the amount of taxes that are paid by the Beverly Salem Water Board to the town of Wenham. So I have not done any due diligence. There's a couple of statutes in Mass General Law that govern pilot payments as a required payment, but also the formula as to how you arrive at that payment in the law. But there's certain acquisition dates that have to be met, and without knowing those dates, which we don't have all of them just yet, Terry's starting to look into it. We don't know. But anyways, we were gonna look at it last year. The assessing, we had they kind of stopped. They call it classic. We had some issues with that, and they weren't supporting it anymore. So we had to kind of make an emergency shift to AP5, which is their new software, the assessing software. That's actually still ongoing in the migration, but that really took priority. The assessing office is just really one person, 1.5 people. So it's just, we just didn't have, given that this is with the Salem Beverly Water Board, and I do have some history with them, they don't, you know what I mean, they got a lot of resources, let's say. So if you're gonna ask them to have a discussion, that's gonna cost them money. You wanna make sure you've done your homework, because they're very well versed in these laws. So anyways, that will be something that, Terry and I talked a little bit the other day. Once the classification hearing is done in November or December, we're gonna work together on that and see if we can start at least the initial groundwork and do some research to see what if anything we can do to generate some additional taxes or pilot payments. Emergency response plan. This is just with all the public safety matters going on. The team was unable to compile the emergency response plan. They're still continuing to work on that, and hope is that we'll be able to deliver it to the select board this year.
If we had an AI liaison, this would be a perfect one.
Yeah, you're probably right on that. Let's see. Okay, so public safety. So we implemented, by way of background, we implemented a townwide 25-mile-an-hour speed limit, except for 1A and Topsfield Road. The select board asked when they implemented it to come back in approximately 1 year, which will be this month, with some performance metrics to measure the impact as far as speeding tickets or whatever the chief has of, performance metrics that he can report on, so that the select board can get an understanding of the impact of going to 25 miles an hour. Additionally, I understand that most of you have received some feedback from your constituents as to what they feel about the 25 mile an hour. So this is on the agenda tentatively, once pending approval by the chair, on the 8th, to come back to the select board with Chief DiNapoli to give that overview. And then in a subsequent meeting after that, the board can discuss whether it wants to continue with the townwide 25 mile an hour speed limit or make any adjustments. So that I'm anticipating will be wrapped up pretty easily during 27.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
When I was driving into Wenham on I-7 the other day from Topsfield, maybe I missed it, but when you cross over into the line, I believe there's the sign that says 25 mile an hour townwide speed limit. And then again, unless I missed it, it was a good, quarter mile, third of a mile before you got to a 40 mile an hour sign. Is that right? Because I thought that 97 was 40.
Was there a
for its
25?
entirety.
That's correct. The first sign, yes, I believe it is. The first sign says unless otherwise posted,
Right.
but it is confusing with the gap between
Right.
where it says 25 and where it then says 40.
Oh, so you're thinking something closer.
So maybe
Well, it's
they're
like
closer
where we-
together.
Switch from Conant Street to Topsfield Road.
Same issue.
Is that right? Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
I noticed perhaps what we need is, if I may, going from Wenham into Beverly, the two signs are right there together. The 25's townwide, but here it's 30, as going into Beverly. So maybe it's just a location thing, but do we control the location, or is that state road? Do they put up the speed signs?
Well, no, I think any road that we've changed to 25, well, I guess, yeah, to your point, these are the ones. I think that would be a state, I can get that, I'm kind of guessing, but yeah, I'll get that answer. Rich is pretty good, he's about getting those signs up quick. I'll see what he can do, make it a little bit more cleaner on the road. Basically, it's almost every state route that when you enter Wenham, it's confusing because there's the 25 and less posted, and then you're like, so what is this?
And then you see it.
Yeah. All right. So this was a goal that Michelle achieved last year, and we're continuing it this year. So she was able to significantly increase our subscriber count on our mass notification system through, just doing some public outreach and stuff. We want to continue down that road, but also start to look at, so we pay for this Code Red service. We don't use it at all. And the select board has a policy actually that it's only used for like absolute emergencies. A bomb went off downtown, you know what I mean? Need to get out. So we want to look at maybe dropping that and moving to the Civics Plus, because it has the same functionality, but instead of operating two, because we don't even push out Code Red anymore. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, yeah. So, anyways, that's something that is going to be a goal this year, to kind of figure out if that's achievable. Like, if I'm not missing anything. Like, is there something that Code Red does that we can't replicate? I don't think there is, but kind of figure out if it's feasible, and if it is, start making that move to the Civics Plus database, whatever you want to call it. And then, all right, so this is something else Michelle handles. So our annual technology hardware refresh cycle. So she inventories all our hardware and printers and equipment and laptops and all that stuff, and then places it on a replacement cycle and works with the departments to get them updated and replaced and disposed of the old ones. So it went very well last year. It's actually a relatively new process. We hadn't really done that before, but with COVID, we were able to replace almost all the computers in the entire town. And then we kind of took advantage of kind of a fresh slate, and now we have this ongoing $10,000 appropriation in the technology budget that we try to stay within a 3 to 5 year replacement cycle. So we'll see at the end of 4 or 5 years, and we'll see how well we're able to do. But we think it's achievable with 10,000, pending any disasters, or if a bunch of machines go down, then it doesn't go very far. 10 grand today. It's only 4 or 5 laptops.
Michelle, does that take probably a lot of time, the first time you set it up?
A little bit, but it's ongoing now.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah, so this is something that, Joe's been working closely with Rich and, this is already done. So we, very sadly, we had a great permitting coordinator, Maggie, who had to resign due to some serious health complications. And, so it came up very unexpectedly. So we had to quickly post the position and get it hired, which we did. So Joe worked closely with Rich on getting a new person in there and getting them trained and stuff, so that we have a new individual in there now. She's been working out really well. And then we also have a major retirement. Sheila in the DPW is leaving after about 12 years with the town. And she is, I don't know how we're going to replace her because she does the work of two people for sure. So it's going to be pretty big shoes to fill, but luckily we've already gone through the interview process. We had a lot of applications. They found who they believe is, is a great candidate, right? So hopefully that proves to be true, but they should be starting, Sheila's last day is it Halloween?
Yes.
Yeah, Sheila's last day is Halloween, so the start date is it September, early September. So we're trying to have like 6, 7, 8 weeks of overlap because she does have a lot of duties. So there's a lot of like little things that she manages, and so there's gonna be quite the learning curve on that job. So yeah, just working on the succession planning of that. We have so Joe's been good. Rich and Eric have been good. They redrafted the job description, drafted all the different procedures and stuff, so help with the training. So that's going well. And then obviously we have the PFAS mitigation, the water treatment. So really the two plans that are really the short-term solution. I think ultimately the long-term solution for really everybody in this region is going to like a Beverly Salem Water Board or the MWRA, who just have massive surface water reserves. All the communities that pull from these watersheds like us, it's not sustainable long-term. So, but short-term, and when I say short-term, it's not super short. We're probably talking 20, 25 years short term, is probably, from what we can tell right now, the two options are for Wenham to build their own treatment facility to filter out the PFAS, or explore, and we are currently exploring with Hamilton, a solution where we can utilize their water treatment plant. So they have very poor water as far as sediment content coming out of their wells. And we have very clean water, but we have a little bit of PFAS. So their treatment facility is heavily burdened by the sediment, and it can't efficiently filter the amount of water that it could if it was cleaner. So if they use our water in their treatment center, it could filter enough water to fill both the town's needs. At least that's the initial analysis. So that's what we're looking at. That's kind of what it's boiled down to. Ultimately, it's really run by the water commissioners. They are an elected board, as you know, and the cost would be picked up in the ratepayers, which they set the rate.
So Eric did present to us a few months ago, so he was going to come back once they had looked at the feasibility of actually doing the pipe from Wenham to Hamilton. Are they still in the process of that?
Still in the process, yep.
And certainly some of this, especially the treatment plant, will have to go to a town meeting type of vote.
Yeah, I don't actually have an answer for that. I mean,
But in any case, my point is, I think perhaps sometime during this year, the Water Commission and the Select Board, especially to get us smart on this, because it's going to be a very complicated issue, that we need a particular meeting on this issue, because, I mean, it's fundamental to the whole town, the water supply.
Yeah, I think once there's some clarity on whether the pipe can actually be built, because if it can't, that changes the discussion, right?
yes, very much so.
So I think once we have that data point,
And then it's a negotiation with Hamilton.
right. Well, he talked about the 8 million versus 10 million, I think it was. 8 million for the pipe, 10 million for treatment. There was like different options, so we would have to discuss
Right.
the possibilities once we know if the feasibility is there or not. That's my recollection.
Yeah, you're right, with Eric, yeah, they have to figure out, I think really the water, exactly what you said, the Water Commission is figuring out what they think is the best solution, pros and cons, and then they're gonna come back to the Select Board and make the presentation.
And we certainly have great expertise on our Water Commission right now, so
Yes.
we're very fortunate there.
Here it is. Finance Committee representation on the Capital Committee, Peter. I knew it was in there somewhere. Yeah, so this is really just between myself, Ernie, and the FinCom to get them to select an individual that's willing to put the effort in. And
Do we know what the effort is?
yeah, it was about 6 meetings last year, and they're all during the day.
Challenging.
But last year was also the first year, and I'm not sure it was a true representation of the full process. So I don't know if that can mean more meetings or less, because they got more efficient, but we'll see. I'll talk to Eric and see what things are looking like.
So I think, was everything pulled forward that's still in process? Because what about the community aggregation? Isn't that still ongoing?
Yeah, I guess I could probably go through and proof it. I might have, yeah.
I think I would pull that one forward because it's still in
No, right, the CC.
progress, the CCA.
Yep.
yeah. And
They all
then-
should have, if some didn't.
So I do think this is a great list and it's very comprehensive and it's a lot, but also I think if any of the board members has input on something that's not represented, this is the appropriate place to bring that up. I think you had a few things,
I have
Gary.
a couple, yeah,
Yeah.
so I think we might, long-term, take on a look at how the town provides social services, that it seems to be a just historic add-on and pretty fragmented, because you have a council on aging that does some core things like the van service, programs and so forth, but then you have a social worker over here, you got the WISH committee here, and, you know, there doesn't seem to be coordination, as well as, you know, there's, if you get down to finer details, it's, you know, the select board has its own charity accounts that we haven't touched for 7 years or so, primarily because early years there was no interest. But now that, you know, we're entering, 4% or interest or whatever, so, you know, the select board ought to, you know, decide what to do with that. But I think overall, long-term, you know, we're gonna have a town that is perhaps more and more seniors to look what services we need, whether it's recreational or, you know, social work type. And perhaps, you know, we just need to put that on the agenda long-term. The other one I had, you know, I've been working in the basement for a long time,
Yes, you have.
is the idea of, certainly Diane, as the town clerk, has a great grasp on the town records, the legal requirements there. But we know what last year, a couple of years ago, we took out 80 box loads of excess paper. So we've done the clean out, but we really don't have a process to determine what's the end state of papers, or how do we get those. So perhaps what we might need is whether it's volunteer or a tax work-off or, you know, a stipend position. I'm thinking something like a town archivist that builds the expertise on what the state retention rules are, and then comes up with a plan either on a monthly or quarterly, whatever basis, that individual would sort through all the papers that flow from the different departments and actually says, okay, this can go today, this is stamped to, you know, get rid of in 2030, whatever, so that we don't have the major expense that we did to empty out the basement every 3 or 4 years.
Actually, that's something I forgot to add to this. I didn't see it on here. But that was a goal last year. It needs to be carried forward. And we were able to secure $100,000 through the CPC for that purpose. We've selected 2 vendors to work with. I just signed a contract with one who does basically exactly what Gary was just describing. His specialty is he goes down, we met with him the other day, he goes down into the basement. He's spent his whole career doing this in Massachusetts, and will sort through all the boxes, figure out what's in there, create a catalog. It'll, it will basically pair it to the state's retention schedule. And then it will come back to the select board as a policy decision to be like, here's all the records that he's inventoried in the basement. Here's the state retention schedule, and based on this schedule, here are all the records that are ready for disposal. And then from a policy standpoint, do you want to dispose of them, or do you want to change the retention schedule? Right, because you don't have, just because the state says keep it 5 doesn't mean you can't keep it 10, right? Or forever, but I mean, so then you'll
Why
make it.
would you?
Well, exactly. But then you can make the decision to be like, all right, no, those types of records, we want to do 5 years, even though the state says 3, or we want to keep them forever because they're historic, for us. Whatever it is, like you might want to have no changes, right? I feel like the state retention schedule is a little bit on the longer side anyways, personally. But then, so once we do that, then we'll dispose of all those records. And once that's done, we have a digitization company that digitizes these records and will make the you gotta make the determination of what you want digitized. He was saying some of the stuff is not worth it because it's like on like the 1, 2, or 3 year retentions, it's not worth scanning them. And you just set up some cataloging rack systems down there. But then some of the longer ones and the forever ones will scan and have like a searchable document database. So that's the first. So we got $100,000. We don't think we're going to be able to do the whole thing with $100,000, but we do think we get probably 80% of the way there. And
It's pretty good.
That's great.
and we're going to hope to come back to the CPC again this year and ask for a little bit more money.
So are you going to add that?
Yeah, that was in the 26
In the
tab. It's just got to move it.
Yeah.
So that is one that didn't get moved
So
forward.
there are a few that should be pulled up.
Yeah, I'll double check that to see what I forgot.
One more,
Keep going. Yep.
We've talked before and we had some stuff, but I think perhaps we need to come to some select board policy, whatever, on Pingree Park. We've had, during my tenure here, we've had advocates, for pickleball, for the skate park. We put the garden in. We went through the whole gazebo thing at one time back then. And certainly there is perhaps a need for, bocce. You got 40, 50 people on one court, so perhaps, the select board or the joint rec, obviously, to come in, DPW, as to, within the master plan structure, what do we want the Pingree Park to look like in 10 or 20 years?
Was Pingree Park mentioned in the master plan?
Well, in general,
Not
under
specifically,
recreation.
but in recreation, yeah.
Recreation.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah.
maximizing the resources basically available to the town. We did talk about it, I think the first year I was on the board, because I remember trying to advocate for sort of a master plan for Pingree Park, looking
Yeah,
into the
design, yeah.
future, but we didn't quite get there. And right now, of course, open spaces and rec is focused on the tennis courts, but I agree, I still think the bigger picture,
Because it's one of those, like
the
everything else in Wenham,
optimization,
it's just, it's been added onto over the years, but, we're getting pretty full there, and there's competing interest, as
so
we've
what's
seen.
the
Yeah,
optimal use?
yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of the highest and best use question again.
It is.
And the last is, on this whole process too, are there items that the select board ought to know about that other committees are working on? And/or, do we need to have the select board task out some of this work? Certainly, we know there's limitations on how much the staff can do and how much working groups can do, but perhaps are there any issues here that we can task out to individual standing committees? Or, in the past, we've created one-time committees to take on a one-time task. Perhaps, the permitting fees, is that something that we can just say, hey, can we get 3 or 5 volunteers, to step up for a year and look at this one issue? Or do we have the finance expertise out there beyond the FinCom that could say, hey, we'll take on looking at the regional school district capital budget, So perhaps, this list, we might look at to see is, where it can get more help beyond the staff work, which is really great, but is really heavily tasked.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good exercise.
And/or, are there anything on this thing that individual select board members could take on, the five of us, step up for, one issue or whatever, or four of us for the chair?
Yes, agreed, which is a great segue if you're done with your list. Because I have one thing that I wanted to bring up, but actually, Ben and Peter, do you have any that you want to add or raise?
It's a lot of good things.
Oh, I just want to go back to something that Steve was asked about.
Okay, well, why don't I
Yeah.
segue from that, and then we'll come back to yours. So the one thing that I would like to add, if we can, and I've already mentioned this to Steve, but I'm also willing to help with, and maybe someone else might be as well, not that I'm looking at you, but the consideration or trying to bring forward a dark sky bylaw, which I think you've also expressed some interest in. But the library, I forget when, a few months ago, there was a fantastic presentation by someone from Massachusetts Dark Sky, explaining all of the rationale, the reasons why, and they have resources, so they have boilerplate bylaws. The dark sky's been adopted in, 30-something communities, I want to say, although I could be off on that number. So I think it's doable, but there are decisions that would need to be made around what we would want to put forward. So that's the one thing that I wanted to bring up. And I'm willing to also work on it.
You want to work on that?
I'm willing to, but also open to partners.
I'm willing to do that too, because I remember that was a big deal with the high school football field.
The athletic fields,
Yeah.
yes.
But they actually did everything right.
Good.
Yeah, it's becoming more common that it's taken into consideration. So, all right, deal, Peter.
All right. And so I just want to go back to something we touched on way early, which was how much of this stuff do we want to put on the website?
How much of this spreadsheet specifically?
Or how much of this information? Okay, so I don't know whether it's these spreadsheets or but I don't want to create work.
Why not just, could we just put them on as they are, or is there the parts of it you think
What would you,
are too much?
are you all right?
Yeah, my thought was to, certainly that would be the easiest way, is to put my memo in the, up there with this and like a little packet and a link, and
It's all public.
it's all public.
And,
They're the packet.
and
Yeah, they're on the website now, but we can create a,
But an
little
easier
sub-thing.
link to, like Gary said, when it becomes buried in the minutes.
because I think it would be really helpful, and, your cover letter really is good. But, again, by putting stuff like this up here, it really does, for people in the town are going, what the hell are those people doing? It's like, well, that's what they're doing.
right.
Transparency. Yeah. Agreed. All right, did we cover everything?
Yeah, Ben, you Ben the only one that,
I think Ben's
I'm all
good.
set, yeah.
oh, you're all set, okay.
Good, yeah.
I thought we were going this way, and then Peter just,
No,
no, all right,
no, I
yeah.
didn't have any, I think the things that Gary and Deirdre added for 27 goals, I agree with.
Sounds good.
One quick question. Did the departments come up with any new initiatives that they think they need to do
No.
or get support on?
Well, no, not formally. There's, we're talking is part of this, and actually it's, and now I just thought of another one that didn't make it up here, is, and I'll add it, is we really are working on internal policy, not so much procedures, although I guess they kind of tie pretty closely, but how, if you take money or if you take checks, what the sign off is on that. And just the payroll, really just, we have a pretty good process now, but just like, what is the payroll process? What are the deadlines? And because things come up every once in a while, and, so that's something Ernie has a lot of experience with, is internal controls. So that's something that we are working on.
Is that embedded in the financial procedures, or it's?
Yeah,
kind
it
of
should have been,
separate?
it should have been a standalone item for revenue generating departments, but it extends further, that goal extends further than that into really, everything finance does. We're trying to work and to actually memorialize what the process is and make some improvements and make it a little safer where we can.
Yeah, that's
Well,
great.
I can add that.
Great. All right, any?
I mean,
Oh,
go ahead.
go,
sorry.
no, go ahead.
I mean, I think about where we started like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
Yes.
We've come a long way. And not just in all the planning and everything, but I think that, I'd like to think that most of our employees would say that things are going a lot smoother now. And it's not just putting fires out.
I agree. Yeah, no, I think that generally folks like it, right?
Yes.
I mean, I guess it depends on the day. But for the most part, I think
Not
that's
to put you on the spot.
Yeah, right, Michelle?
Everyone's happy, right?
Right?
Yeah, I think everybody is.
Yeah, fair point. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you.
thanks to everyone.
Yeah,
You know,
great
it's
job,
really,
everybody.
it just highlights how little you can do by yourself. Is this when you're going through it all? You know what I mean?
It's truly a team effort.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're very fortunate. All right. Next meeting is September 8th,
September 8th.
and the speed limit discussion will be one of the primary
Yeah.
items on the agenda.
It's 6 o'clock start,
Okay.
appointing ceremony with the
For
police.
the police. Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be family and friends and stuff, so it'll be,
So we'll do the ceremony first.
Yeah.
And then the regular meeting at 6:30.
Motion to adjourn? I move to adjourn the select board meeting of August 25th at 8:11 PM.
All right, all in favor?
No, somebody's got a second.
Oh.
Oh, yeah, second, sorry.
He plays second.
Too quick, all in favor?
Yes.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.